and very focused on the criterion 4. Now, basically, when you talk about the criterion 4, let me share the screen so that you're all able to see. Are you able to see?
Yes, ma'am. It is fine, ma'am.
It's in slide mode show.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is in slideshow mode, ma'am.
Perfect. So basically, when you talk about the criterion 4, the structure and the formulation of criteria 4 are basically same for undergraduate college and for PG colleges. That's very important to understand because the infrastructure holds a very high esteem because it is very important uh, for the uh, for the institutes to have the best infrastructure in place so that the learning outcomes and other objectives of the higher education and 2020 can be achieved. So irrespective of the objectives, so if you don't have the requisite and adequate infrastructure, how will we move forward with the courses and how to achieve the learning outcomes and objectives, etc. So here, the focus of the criterion 4 is all about the adequacy and optimal use of all types of infrastructure, and the adequacy of the infrastructure is perhaps the most important soul and the backbone of the criterion 4. That's very important to understand, right? And definitely, when you talk about the other aspects to be submitted as a proof to the NAAC, we need to have some geotagged pictures and their web links. So they are very, very necessary for the criterion 4. Like if you have a particular infrastructure in place or some important ICT infrastructure in place, you need to have a geotagged picture of that and the links of that to be pasted on the website. So the basic nuances of the criterion 4 is number one, it is same for UGPG, and adequacy and optimal infrastructure is the focus of the criterion 4, and you need to have a geotag pictures and their web links which are a necessity for a criterion 4. And of course, when you talk about the extensive study of the college budgets, the utilization of the certificate, this is a primary requirement because whenever every college goes with the plan of development or probably the expansion or probably the maintenance, so you need to have a certain allocated budget with you. So there has to be the governing council meetings and the budget allocation. So what specific are the budget allocation extracts, the college budget, and then how you have utilized that money is a primary requirement of the criterion 4. And we should keep the budget extracts for the certain items which are ready with the signatures of the auditor and head of the institution for uploading this. And these things are very, very important that unless and until we have these abstracts of the auditors and how the sanctioning was done and how the utilization is done, and they are the audited statements have to be in place because in SSR you cannot upload the unaudited statement. So that is why we call it as that audited statements are definitely very, very important. And then if the higher education institute, what are you talking about? It is having a very clear mandate and a policy in relation to if you have certain policies in place in relation to ICT and infrastructure development, augmentation, maintenance. So it has to be added in the process of assessment and accreditation. So definitely, whenever the higher education institutes thinks about development part, so they should have a very clear-cut policies in this regard. So if they do not have any policies, then of course at random or doing certain things on your own doesn't make any sense. So NAAC wants you to be more organized. NAAC wants you to be more formalized. So if you have certain policies in place, which is in relation to development, augmentation, and maintenance, it is definitely going to give you a lot of advantage in the assessment and accreditation process. So that's very, very important. Another thing, when you talk about ICT and the other infrastructure, ICT infrastructure has got more weightage than the normal infrastructure because we are into a digitally enabled world, technology enabled world, technology driven world. So that is why the things are evolving in the NAAC also. So we have more weightage of the ICT infrastructure than the physical infrastructure. Now, there are some criterions and the data templates which we will be talking about here. One is 4.1.3, 4.1.4, 4.1.1, 4.2.2, and 4.2.3. So which we slowly will show you on the screens that are to be uploaded on the website, and the link of which has to be kept in the SSR. Now, in the data templates, at several items, we have to provide the web links where the documents have been uploaded, and the infrastructure websites in the college has to access the various services. So that's very important that all these things are primarily have to be well organized. The budget extracts, the well defined ICT policies, the augmented maintenance policies. And then, of course, these are the data templates I was talking about. There are three data templates. The first and the foremost is 4.1.3, and in a combination of 4.1.4 plus 4.1, and then in a combination of 4.2.2 and 4.2.3 that are to be uploaded. So what I'm talking about here is that in the data templates, at several times, we have to provide the web links where the documents have been uploaded on the institutional websites, or the college has to access the various services. Now, coming on to the first indicator, the key indicator, that is 4.1. That is the physical facilities. Now, what are physical facilities? That's very important. So the 4.1.1, that is the first question. The institution has the adequate infrastructure and the physical facilities for teaching learning vis-a-vis classroom, laboratories, computing equipment, etc. So if you talk about this particular metrics under the key indicator 4.1, that is the physical infrastructure, here it is a qualitative matrix, and we have to give a summary in 200 words, right? So what those 200 words will be focusing on, the focusing is on adequacy. That is the whether the institution has adequate infrastructure and the physical facilities for teaching learning. This is number one. Overall general description of college infrastructure and the academic support systems. So that's very, very important. And of course, if you talk about the other things which have to be included in the responses, they are the upgradation, which is carried on in the academic year, the ICT infrastructure with its major attributes, and of course, they are as an unique infrastructure for some special program introduced must be mentioned, like you have purchased a particular equipment for some psychology experiment. So it makes a special mention that we have augmented and we have purchased this equipment. And this is the objective of purchasing this equipment, because you have to narrate in the holistic framework of 200 words, which includes, as I already told you, about the adequacy, about the overall infrastructure, about academic support system, and about the upgradation policies, the unique feature of adding a product, and the ICT infrastructure with its major attributes. Like, what are the major attributes of adding these infrastructure? So the library, physical infrastructure, and of course the recreation, canteen, the medical room, the restrooms, etc. All these things have to be kept into account. So we need to ensure that the claims made for the infrastructure are as per the authority, mention quantitative information such as numbers and ratio. Now, see, everyone is under a particular authority, governing council, because you talk about constituent college, if you talk about, any other thing. So that's very, very important that It should have the proper approvals of the appropriate or the regulatory authority in that case. And then whatever you have done in terms of the augmenting or maintenance or changes or expansion, then you must mention that in the ratio and the numbers. Like our sitting capacity is increased by 20%. Our small seminar room is now in place, which is ICT enabled, and small meeting of 50 to 60 people can be done there. So you must make a mention of the capacity which has been increased in terms of number, in terms of ratio, because that makes your response more crisp and good, and gives a very good start as far as the infrastructure criterion is concerned. So if you talk about the adequacy and the relevance to carry out the teaching learning activities, the outcomes are already predefined, and the optimal use policy, the augmenting policy, the goals of sustainability, and all these things like existence and implementation of well-informed procedures for its maintenance. Like you need to maintain your infrastructure, then what are the policies in place, how you're going to go in for a policy of optimal use. If you're augmenting your resources, what are your well-informed procedures? And of course, all these things have to be supplemented by geotag pictures, which clearly shows that you have this particular equipment installed in your college for this particular purpose. And if the equipment has been bought for a specific course or specific reason, then you must make a mention of that particular use in that regard. Then, of course, the college website must have a separate page. I must repeat this particular part. The website of the college must have a separate page for the infrastructure where its major attributes are showcased. And definitely, if you have a separate web page, then whosoever will come for the peer team visit, they can just go through that page, and it gives very useful information to the all stakeholders, and as well as it helps to monitor the agencies to get the information about the college in detail. So the supporting documents or the evidences are as follows: the property card of the institution, the list of the classrooms with size, the ICT facilities for teaching, learning, evaluation, the software purchased for academic purpose, as well as the library. So this was very, very important supporting documents I have just made a mention. So you need to mention that this is the size of the classroom, the width, the length, the sitting capacity, the ICT facilities, the software purchase, which is very specific to attain the purpose of the academic, and as well as for the library, needs to be mentioned there. So now moving on to criterion 4.1.2. So this is basically, it focuses on the adequacy of the facilities for the cultural activities, for sports, games, including the indoor and the outdoor sports, gymnasiums, the yoga centers, etc. So in a maximum of 200 words, the responses of this particular metrics under this key indicator of 4.1 includes what? It includes that the college has adequate facilities for the cultural activities, for sports and the games, enabling the extracurricular and the co-curricular activities, and the facilities cater to a wide range of activities such as exhibitions, festivals, NCC weekly parades, and the daily activities. So all these things are quite important. And of course, you need to make a mention that you have a playground which is well equipped and offers a comprehensive description of its nature, size, area, facilities, and specialties. And it also gives the ample space for the various outdoor activities and the sports. So you need to make a mention about the utilization of the playground, which is maximized for the different events and the activities, ensuring its optimal use. See, there is a very particular point I want to explain it further, that when this particular key metrics of 4.1.2 makes a mention of the adequacy and the optimal use, which has to be conceptualized in 200 words. So when it talks about the optimal part, it means that you need to show that your particular playground, when you're talking about, has got ample space, it has ample shape, it has peculiar specialities, and it is multi-use, and we are using it for multiple purposes. Why? Because if you're using it for the maximum number of events, that means it is definitely ensuring an optimal use. So that's most important, that you have to show the adequacy and the optimal use of the infrastructure, whether you talk about a lab or you talk about the cultural ground, hall, or you talk about a playground, etc. So basically, the college campus might have to go for intercultural college activities, for university and the other competition games, etc. So here, if you have another factor called gymnasium, so whether you have kept the trainers, are you giving ample opportunities for the staff and the students to go in for a fitness? And you talk about a yoga and a meditation center. You can probably make some very good use of the terrace, and with the solar energy equipment installed on this, with a botanical garden, and maybe some other important factors for which the roof can be used. So probably the cultural activities, the sport equipments you have, the recording equipment you have, the photography part, the music facilities you have. So all needs to be geotagged and to be made a mention in this particular key metrics of 4.1.2, which comes under the physical infrastructure. Then you must also make a mention about the fire equipment in place, the hostel, if you have any, the fire safety equipments you have any, the laboratories, whether you have in place. So, Madhur, you have to show the ample, you know, space, ample infrastructure, and ample participation in the various activities using that particular, uh, you know, ground and hall and meditation, etc. So, this particular key metrics, I would like to end here by saying two, three more lines. The college website, when you talk about this particular key metrics of 4.1.2, the college website must have a separate page for the infrastructure. Again, a reiteration with its major attributes where they are showcased, and it is very useful for all the stakeholders, as well as helps to monitor the agencies to get the information about the college in detail. So this page link is to be pasted to support your claims, and the supporting evidences and the documents, we'll have a list of the cultural activities which are taking place, the games, which talks about the indoor and the outdoor, the gymnasium, the yoga center, the meditation center, the equipment which is used to support the cultural activities, and the specifications of all other facilities what you have. So this was for the first key indicator. That is the physical infrastructure. We have talked about 4.1.1, just a small recap, which talks about the adequacy of the infrastructure and the physical facilities for teaching learning, which talks about the classroom size, laboratories, computing equipments, etc. So you need to make a mention about the size, the proportions, the numbers, the augmenting, the maintenance policies, etc. And then we have another key indicator, another key metrics in the key indicator physical facilities, which we have already talked about. That is, the institution must have the adequacy of the facilities, and which is again a qualitative metrics. Again, I have mentioned that in 200 words how you're going to elaborate it, and followed by that everything has to be pasted on the website, and the link of which can be given in a separate page, and to be uploaded in the SSR also, because the peer team visit, before the peer team visits, they would like to move on, see the geotag pictures, see the requisite evidences in this regard. So now moving on to the next key metrics, 4.1.3, which is like the number of the classrooms and the seminar halls with ICT enabled facilities such as the smart classrooms, the LMS, what you're using, that is the learning management system. So this is a quantitative matrix in which we will be talking about the number. So you need to mention about the number of the classrooms, the seminar rooms with the ICT facilities. So here the focus is on what? The focus is on the classroom, the seminar room, the ICT enabled facilities, etc. So a learning management system is a software which you need to make a mention in this, because you need to mention about the facilities which are there in the college in terms of the number of classrooms, seminar rooms, ICT facilities, etc. So LMS is a software application for administration, documentation, evaluation, tracking, reporting, and the delivery of education courses. So the exact number of LMS definitely will vary. It cannot be fixed. It can vary depending upon the institutional requirements. Successful learning management system, invariably, it facilitates the seamless integration of the physical and the virtual classrooms, and also the social learning. So they actually fill the gap, and they also talk about that, yes, the LMS is very, very important. And the best LMS is scalable. You can increase the scale. It promotes gamification. That is, you can use it, by using it with some fun and games. And it is definitely going to increase a talent seamlessly across the institution. It is a cloud-based. It is an open source. It is Moodle, that is the training assessment certification, and it is having a G Suite classroom. So whatever you have, you need to upload it on the website. Or what all LMS you're talking about, ICT facilities are you talking about? Then, of course, you must have purchased all these things. So the purchase receipt, the contract, outsourcing agreements, details of the LAN and the Wi-Fi facilities, photographs can be uploaded here. And of course, you need to paste a link for some additional information you have. So the website showing an ICT facility infrastructure is required if some other details are linked to the geotag pictures, and a master timetable are to be uploaded in the data template 4.1.3. So this is all about when you talk about key metrics 4.1.3. Now we will be talking about that what particular supporting documents are there. So the supporting documents here are probably the first is you need to upload the number of classrooms, the seminar halls with the ICT facilities. You need to make a mention of the attributes or the features of ICT enabled classrooms, the state of art, hardware and software, the internet facilities for teaching, the natural language processing capabilities, the animated modules and videos, the remote access capabilities, that is the live streaming, and save the class option, that is the lecture capturing mechanism. So all these things are pertinent in this regard. So now moving on to 4.1.4. That is again a very important key metrics. That is the expenditure, including the salary for infrastructure augmentation during the year in INR in lakhs. So in this, the first is expenditure for infrastructure augmentation. You need to exclude the amount of salary, because salary is one thing which cannot be shown here. So how you have augmented the infrastructure, you need to make a mention. But the amount which you are spending for the salary needs to be excluded here from this, template. So basically, the data template here is 4.1.4 and 4.4.1. They are combined here. So that is why we say that there are 3 data templates which needs to be updated and uploaded in the criterion 4. So here 4.1.4, that is the expenditure, and the next is your 4.4.1 needs to be combined. That is the infrastructure augmentation, the annual budget expenditure, and the budget expenditure on maintenance are given in the same template. So they need to be clubbed. So what is your inquiry point, and what is the focus of this particular combination of 4.1.4 and 4.4.1 is it needs to be uploaded that the metrics 4.1.4 refers to the augmentation, where SSR, there are 2 separate metrics for the infrastructure augmentation and infrastructure development. So therefore, the difference between the augmentation here, when you talk about the augmentation and the developments, needs to be understood. One is augmentation and the other is development. So what is the key difference? Let me explain you here. When you talk about a development, development refers to creating or producing, especially by a deliberate effort over time. That means you are developing it. You're putting some extra effort to develop it, and more numerously, larger, and more intensely. And already developed infrastructure can be augmented by the infrastructure by putting some more operations in place, by putting some new processes in place. So you are not doing something new as far as the development part is concerned. The development part is done in the development part, and augmentation, you need to just enrich the process, the overall procedures. They are already there, but you are trying to augment it. So that's most important. Now coming on to what is to be uploaded, and what are things to be taken as a supporting evidence in this particular criterion. That is criterion 4. The infrastructure augmentation work can be a campus development committee, the minutes. It could be some quotations which you have asked for the augmentation, the work order which you have given to somebody, the geotag pictures can be uploaded as a proof, and the uploaded audited utilization statements can also be taken care of. And in case of a private institution, the document should be certified by a chartered accountant here, and we need to avoid the recurring expenses on the laboratory maintenance in this matrix. Like if you have taken a AMC for a particular maintenance, so that is to be avoided taking as a proof here. So that is like a recurring expense, so should not be taken here. So now we are moving to criterion 4.2. As we mentioned that there are 4 key indicators. 4.1 is a physical. Now we are moving to 4.2, that is library as a learning resource. So here you need to make a mention here that library, is automated using the ILMS, that is Integrated Library Management System. It's again a qualitative metrics. The data requirement is that you need to upload a description with the following. You need to make a mention in 500 words. What is the name of the ILMS, what you have taken, and of course, the nature of the automation, that is whether your library is fully automated or not, then which is the version which is being functional, and the year of automation when it has been started. So focus or the focus of the query is on what? Integrated library management system of the organization. So you need to make a mention in 200 words. The institution should give the details of integrated library management system being used by an institution for the knowledge resource, the version, etc. Then in case of extra duties and work, the library portal must have a viewer counter. The free software, that is the open source OPEC, has to be in place. The purchase license validity terms conditions agreement have to be in place. So basically, all these things have to be supported in the documentation. And nowadays, the library offers the radio frequency cards. So RFID system for recording, issuing, and returning of the books. If it is there, it is wonderful because it shows the automation of a particular level. Then, of course, the library should have an ERP package in place, the content management system for relearning, and a number of computers in the library are accessible to students. A number of printers in the library are accessible to students. The internet bandwidth, the institutional e-repository, and some additional information like the purchase order, license, validity. So the geotag pictures, the screenshots of integrated library management system, they need to be collated together. And you need to also give the bill of the integrated library management system, what you've taken, the details of the facilities which are there, and the screenshot of the software have to be there. So the institution has a subscription to 4.2.2. It's a quantitative framework in which you have to make a mention about the e-resources which have been subscribed by the institution, which includes the e-journals, e-show the Sindhu, show the Ganga membership, e-books, databases, remote access to e-resources. So you need to make a mention about the options, what you're ticking, any four of the above, any three of the above, and any two of the above. So now, and probably there has to be none of the above. So if you don't have anything, you have to tick this option. So here, the focus or the query is on whether the institution has the institutional subscriptions of all these things which we have narrated. That is, I'll just show you this slide again. E-journals, e-Shodh Ganga, show the membership, databases, and remote access to e-journals. So you need to make a mention about, and the focus of this particular key metrics, that is 4.2.2, is on that whether the institution has subscribed these e-resources or not, and a correct and a logical you know option needs to be selected out of these. These are the options: any four, any three, any two, any one, and none of the above. So you need to very cautiously tick one of these. The supporting documents, what is needed here is of the last 5 years, the membership evidence, the e-copy of the membership received by the Higher Education Institute, the expenditure incurred, the screenshots of the faculty, and the facility claimed with the name of the Higher Education Institute. Like, say, for example, X college has taken the facility. So on that particular bill, the name of that college is particularly mentioned. So now coming on to the third parameter of the library, that is when you talk about the very important key metrics of the criterion 4, that is 4.2.1, library as a learning resource. So we are on to the third part, that is 4.2.3, that is the expenses. So here the annual expenditure or purchase of books and journals year-wise last 5 years needs to be mentioned. So the data requirement for the last 5 years, the data template is expenditure on the purchase of the books, expenditure on the subscription of the journals. What you need to upload is the orders, purchase receipts, bills, the audited statement of accounts. They need to be in place, and they need to be mentioned here in criterion 4.2.3, which is a library expense, and it is definitely has to be uploaded here. So the focus of the query here is that whether the college has purchased, or the higher education institution has purchased, the books and subscription to the journals. The supporting evidence would be audited statements with a clear purchase heads, the details of the annual expenditure for the purchase of the books, the e-copy of the subscription, the membership of the higher education institutes, the expenditure incurred for the membership, and of course, the expenditure on the purchase of the journal. So all these things have to be uploaded. Now coming to another key metrics, 4.2.3, which is a quantitative metrics. That is the per day usage of the library or the footfall and the login data for the online access. So that means we are looking for the physical footprints as well as the digital footprints. So what is the focus here is on? The focus here is on the number of teachers and the students who are using the library per day over the last year. What you need to talk about here is a data requirement. You need to upload the last page of the accession register details. That's most important. That accession register gives you the details of the physical footprints, the method of computing per day usage of the library. There is a method, and probably there are so many options which the higher education institution can go in for while calculating and using a formula of the accession register. The third is the number of the users using the library through e-access and the number of the physical users accession library. So the focus is on the usage of the library by the teachers and the students. So what you need to show as the supporting documents. Here is, these are the supporting documents which we have already discussed. The details of the library users, the request to calculate the student usage per day, the method of computing per day usage, the number of users using library e-access, the number of physical users library, the certified e-copy of the ledger for the footfalls for 5 years, the certified screenshots of the data for 5 years for an online access. So that's a very, very important part. So now we are on to the third. And I already told you that when you talk about the ICT infrastructure, it carries more weightage and importance compared to the physical part. So let us move forward with this. That is the third key indicator. That is the IT infrastructure, which is the pulse of today, which is the motion of today, which is the nucleus of today, which is the most important thing today. Now, moving forward with this, it's again a qualitative matrix. And here you need to make a mention in 200 words. What is the focus? The focus is on the updates of IT facilities. What you need to mention here in the response? That's very important. Now, here when you talk about the year-wise response, you need to make a mention about the update. That is, what is the addition? What is the replacement? What is the Wi-Fi width, what is the software, how the networking facilities is there, how the antivirus works, blocking of specific websites, that is the cybersecurity, the LMS, the college websites, and the college apps. So you need to do in what in for a supporting documents, the purchase orders, the stock registers, the networking, the annual maintenance records, the screenshots of a college website, the college app details. So college website links have the detail of ICT policy, ICT infrastructure, access procedures, record sum generation, pages should be uploaded. So overall, when you talk about this particular matrix, that is 4.3.1, that is the IT facilities, you need to show some incremental part, that what additions you have made and until the expected benchmark is reached. So therefore, overall, there should be the time that AQAR data will not be different from the previous year data. And at such a point, the benchmark should be reached. So that's most important thing which you have to keep in mind. So year-wise status of the hardwares, the number of computers, routers, switches, cables, LAN facilities, Wi-Fi, internet service providers, um, what do you call, the antivirus. So all these things have to be uploaded, the receipts, the photographs. You need to make a link and put it here. So now coming on to 4.3.2, that is the computer ratio. It is definitely a very important thing. It is a quantitative matrix. Here we are talking about the numbers. Any matrix where we are talking about the numbers is a quantitative matrix. So let us move forward with this particular matrix. What does it say? It talks about the student computer ratio, that is the number of students, the number of computers, the data requirements, the number of computers in the working conditions, the total number of students, and the focus is on the student computer ratio. And the important thing what you need to note down here is the number of computers available for student use. The computer for office use and the faculty use will not be considered. So the NAAC has given the equal importance to this matrix as compared to the physical infrastructure. So here you need to make a mention of the student computer ratio. So for this, what is to be uploaded and what is important? You need to show the bills of the computers, the stock register, the student computer ratio, calculation sheet, the computer laboratory schedules, the laboratory photographs. So you need to make a mention here about, again, 4.3.3, the quantitative metrics, the bandwidth here, whether the bandwidth is greater than equal to 50 Mbps or it is equal to between 35 to 50 Mbps, 20 to 35 Mbps. You need to opt one out of all this. So 5, between 5 and 20, less than 5. So you need to mention clearly about the availability of the infrastructure available. So what you need to upload here is the additional information, the agreement orders, the billing receipts indicating the MPBS, details of the available bandwidth, the internet service provider technical details, and no wireless broadband is accepted. So all these things, even you need to make a mention about when you talk about the supporting documents, that you also need to give a user report that how many users are there, and also about the audited account statement. So the enveloping statement, last I would like to mention here about the metrics what we are discussing, that is 4.3.2 student computer ratio is only the least line connectivity will be considered, right? Again, I'm repeating, only the least line connectivity will be considered. In SSR, this matrix carries a maximum weightage in criteria 4. This matrix will be an indicator of the degree of penetration of the modern ICT in the day-to-day activities and administrative functioning of an institution. Without the availability of the good bandwidth, uh, in the college and the people who are using it, so definitely our claims of modernizations may not be true. So that's how this matrix is the most important matrix in criterion 4. So now I'm moving on to 4.4. That is the last matrix of today. Maintenance of the campus infrastructure. So as you can see from the slide here, that the expenditure incurred on the maintenance of the infrastructure, the physical, the academic support facilities, including the salary component during the year, and it needs to be mentioned. And again, it is a quantitative matrix. So non-salary expenditure, uh, the data requirement is that you need to mention about the non-salary part here, and of course the expenditure incurred on the maintenance of the campus. So the focus here is on the expenditure incurred on maintenance and infrastructure. You need to upkeep the maintenance of the campus and better for a better and a longer time. It requires certain minimum expenses to be done. So institutions must have a proper budget provisioning and the policy procedures for that. Details about assigned budget, expenditure, physical facilities need to be in place. Like this is for the repair work, this is for plumbing work, etc. The hardware repair, electricity bills, property taxes, maintenance charges for the UPS, that is for the battery backup. So the academic support system facilities, including the human resource appointed, outsourced for maintenance work, internet charges, and hired from outside. So what you need as a supporting document is a geotag pictures of the maintenance work in progress, assign the budget with the audited statement of accounts, the audited statement of accounts, the abstract signed by the auditor. So that's very, very important. So, all these things have to be augmented. And these are the details, what I've made a mention here, that you have to talk about all these things. So now coming on to 4.4.2, that is established systems and procedures for maintaining and utilizing infrastructure. So, we describe policy details of the system procedures for maintaining and utilizing the physical, academic, and the support facilities on the website with a minimum words of 200. So, you need to describe a policy details of the systems procedures. And what is the focus of 4.4.2? The focus here is you need to have some established systems and procedures for maintaining and utilizing the physical, academic, and the support facility. So that's a most important thing which you need to make a mention here. And but when you're talking about a policy, you need to have an open tendering, outsourcing agencies, methods of reimbursement, and you need to upload that policy documents, work orders, and the bills pay receipt, LMC, CDC, that is the campus development committee reports, experts. So the policy details need to be well designed, well planned, and envelop all this. So this is an effective utilization maintenance, which we have talked about. It reduces the operational cost. It helps the staff to move forward. It increases the efficiency level, and the physical academic policy has to be in place. So at the end, I would like to say that the supporting documents in terms of the parameter 4.4.2 here is that you need to upload the policy documents, you need to upload the work order letters, the bill pay receipts, LMC, CDC reports, and an institutional web link containing the policy procedures and the tendering system should be uploaded. So this is how you need to be very cautious about all these things, and you need to make a mention about that how and why all these things are important. So that's all from me, and I leave the dice open for some questions.